Welcome to another bonus edition of Upon Further Review.
Upon further review,
And in this edition, we'll be covering the Week 7 matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Chicago Bears. You can catch that October 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and that will be aired on your local CBS affiliates. And heading into this game, the Dolphins are 2-3 and the Bears are 3-3. The Dolphins won in Week 1 at home against the Patriots, and then they lost the next two on the road to Buffalo, and then at home against the Chiefs. But then they went to Oakland and they won, as they even up their record at 2-2. And then after a bye week in Week 5, they hosted the Packers in Week 6, and they lost by a field goal as they nearly defeated Green Bay there in Miami. And now they go on the road to Chicago. And the Bears, so far this season, they lost a close game by a field goal in overtime in Week 1 at home to Buffalo. They then went on the road and they beat the Niners, and then they went to New York and beat the Jets. They then lost at home to Green Bay, and then went on the road and lost to Carolina, and then they went to Atlanta and they won that game. And so they're 3-3. They've been up and down, back and forth. All of their victories have come on the road, and they have yet to win at home. So here they are hosting the Dolphins on Sunday, and I believe they will get their first home victory of 2014. Let's look inside the numbers. When it comes to passing offense, the Dolphins are 25th in the NFL in passing yards per game, and the Bears are 9th. And when it comes to defense, the Dolphins are 8th in passing defense, and the Bears are 17th. So these teams are pretty evenly matched when it comes to the passing games, as the Bears have a clear advantage in their offensive passing game, but the Dolphins have the clear advantage in their defensive passing attack, and they match up really well. I'm going to have to give the advantage to the Bears, though, in this matchup, especially being that their secondary causes turnovers, and that their secondary is matching up better against the Dolphins' passing attack, whereas the Bears' passing attack is pretty evenly matched up against the Dolphins' pass defense. So edge in the passing game goes to the Bears. Now we look at the running offense of these two teams, and the Dolphins are 6th in the NFL in rushing yards per game, and the Bears are 20th. And in defense, the Dolphins are 13th in yards allowed on the ground, and the Bears are 10th. So very closely matched up once again. And of course, the Dolphins, they've lost Noshan Moreno. He's done for the season. He was injured. He came back off the injury and then got injured again. And sad to say he's done. So moving forward, it will be Lamar Miller. He is more than capable, and the Dolphins have been picking up a lot of yards on the ground so far this year. And already Miller has 330 yards rushing. He's averaging 5.2 per carry and has 3 touchdowns. So he's definitely more than capable of running the ball. Of course, with the Bears, although the numbers don't show it, they are getting a lot of production out of Forte. He has 399 rushing yards, but he also has 376 receiving yards. So although their rushing attack isn't, highly ranked, a lot of that has to do with the fact that they've passed the ball almost 100 times more than they've run it. So they've passed the ball 230 times versus 148 rushing attempts for the Bears. So they are a pass-happy team, and that's kind of why their, rushing statistics offensively aren't really there. But Forte is having a lot of production. Of course, the Bears are good at shutting down the run, but so is Miami. Yeah, kind of have to give the edge to the Dolphins here, even though, without Noshan, it's kind of a push. And with the production that Forte has coming out of the backfield, but of course that doesn't count for a running attack. And the Dolphins definitely do run the ball a little bit better than the Bears. But now let's look at the points for, and when it comes to points scored in this year, the Dolphins are 21st in score, points per game. The Bears are 10th. And when it comes to points allowed, they're pretty even. The Dolphins are 22, Bears 21. So the advantage goes to the Bears, is they're putting up points with the best of them. They have no trouble scoring, even though they kind of struggle to stop other teams from scoring. So do the Dolphins, but the Bears definitely are putting up more points than Miami. So I gotta give the edge to the Bears. And in this game, the way it should break down, I expect to see Forte, have a pretty big game. Of course, Cutler's got to protect the ball. He's doing decent. He has 13 touchdowns versus 6 interceptions. Tannehill has 5 interceptions and just 8 touchdowns. So on both sides, they've got to protect the ball. This game, should be actually pretty close. I see this one coming down to the wire. I think the Bears will finally get a home victory. It's kind of crazy that they haven't won yet at home. Of course, they did face some tough, opponents, and they've only had 2 home games. This is their 3rd home game, and this is their 7th game. So, and then they actually go on the road, in week 8, and then in week 10 after their bye week. But then after that, they've got a lot of home games in the final stretch. They've actually got 5 home games out of their last 7. So after having all these road games early in the season, they're going to be rewarded with home games later on. Of course, they need to win at home, and that starts here with Miami. And I believe they will win this game. I think that when it comes down to it, at the end, they should be able to, get a turnover, and they should be able to stop Miami. And if it comes down to it, maybe Jay Cutler leads them on a late, drive to take the lead in the 4th quarter and win the game. That's possible. Of course, they might be winning. They could even, run the score up on Miami, and Miami might be playing catch-up. And if they get behind against the Bears, they'll be in trouble because of how much they struggle to pass the ball. And so the Bears could win this one, by double digits, but I think Miami will keep it close. Lamar Miller should be able to run the ball. Even, like I said, without Noshan, it's not like they've really had Noshan that much this season. He's been banged up. So him going down, yes, it does hurt Miami, but it's not that something that they're not used to. I mean, this is pretty much the team they had last year. So, and they actually were competitive, and they still are competitive. They've got a good defense, so it could be an interesting game. Either way, I think the Bears are going to win this one. They just got too much talent, and they're too good at scoring. Is the thing is that even with mistakes that they tend to make, they still make up for them. Cutler with his arm, he's able to air it out, and even if he does get a pick or two, he is going to get a few touchdowns. And Forte is always productive, whether it's running the ball or catching it out of the backfield. And so I think the Bears should win this one, and their secondary should be able to shut down Miami and contain them. And their defense should also be able to hold Lamar Miller to where he isn't, too productive. Even though I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 100 yards, but if he doesn't, Miami doesn't have any chance. So the only chance they have is really to, run the ball and keep the ball in their hands and keep Cutler off the field. But I really don't see Miami having a lot of a chance to win this one. I think the Bears are pretty solid in this game. They should get above 500, win their first home victory for the fans there in Chicago, and the Bears will be victorious in my opinion. So that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment sections below. Very interested to hear your opinions. And if you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit the like button. How else would we know if you enjoyed it if you don't hit the like button? Also, if you like this content, make sure to subscribe, because we bring you recaps and upon further reviews each and every single week for each and every single game in the NFL all year long, all the way through the playoffs into the Super Bowl. And we're also covering the MLB playoffs in the World Series. We've been covering the wild card and the division round and the championship round, and we will be covering the World Series. Now it's down to the Giants and the Royals. Very excited for that. We also bring you our weekly show, The Wedge, where we do our quick picks, our fantasy fortune, fantasy football picks, the weekly rewind of the week that was. We also do the Thursday night upon further review on The Wedge as well. and we're also covering some college football, so keep an eye out for that. So thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and a great weekend, and enjoy all of the sports.